If there's one thing that we can be fairly certain about, Nuno Espirito Santo will be determined to bring in a striker when the January transfer window opens in just under 3 weeks from now. With Max Hahn, our head of technical recruitment and analysis, crunching the data in the background, a number of targets have been identified and our scouts have been spotted at various grounds around Europe, checking out those particular targets. And for all we know, exploratory talks may have already taken place between intermediaries and player agents in order to lay the foundations for transfer bids being readied once that window opens. Now, with Hahn, he's fast developing a reputation at West Ham United. He's been credited, apparently, for identifying Mahamadou Kante, Songutu. We all thought, of course, that was Tim Steidten. Songutu Magassa and Malik Diouf. So his stock has risen at the club. And if he continues to identify such young talent, then his role is likely to be secured for a long time in the future. Well, until one of the signings ends up not being great, and then, of course, he'll be sacked. Look, I'm being facetious, of course, but there's always someone, apart from Brady and Sullivan, to blame when things don't go so well. For the forthcoming transfer window, West Ham have also on board super agent George Mendes, who has worked with Nuno before. Now, although it's been made quite clear that Mendes won't actually have control over who we target, but it won't surprise me if he's involved in getting some player targets over the line. The theme seems very much focused on the Portuguese market. Not only Portuguese strikers or Portuguese players, but strikers who are applying their trade in the Portuguese league. Hence, players like Clayton, who've been linked to us quite recently, as well as the re-emergence of Spanish striker Samuel Omorodian, who signed for Porto in the summer of 2024. However, the search for the right striker doesn't just stop only with Portuguese links. Hahn's analysis has enabled West Ham to widen the search with names such as Frangelino Diu from Danish club Midtjylland, as well as strikers from Brazil and Saudi leagues. But all of these striker links, who's best that's going to fit into Nuno's system at West Ham? Who's going to be the best to make West Ham more formidable in attack? Well, look, we know that what we currently have simply isn't the solution for our need to score more goals in order to remain in the Premier League, which is why if a club comes along to take Nicholas Füllkrug off our hands, and apparently Wolfsburg are interested again, then the German international will be gone. And I don't think there's that many West Ham fans who are going to be sorry to see him go. We also know that despite doing a lot better than we thought he would, Callum Wilson is still a risky option given his history of injuries. Having said that, I think on the whole, Nuno has managed Callum Wilson exceptionally well. And I think, the way he's been managing him will allow him to see most of this season through, fingers crossed, without any injuries. But we need a striker. A striker is paramount in January, but who fits what we need? Who will benefit from the squad of players that West Ham have at the club? With the likes of Bowen, Paqueta, Somerville, and others creating chances, which of the strikers that we're linked to are going to succeed most? Look, before I dive into the analysis of who best fits West Ham, there's a QR code that's appeared in the top corner there. If you click on that, you can subscribe to the West Ham Voice free of charge. If you like the show, you can click on the like button at the bottom of the screen. You can also click the hype button, which allows you to promote the video for me. And if you're feeling very generous, you can become a member of the channel. $1.99 a month allows you to have extra content, and all the money raised through the membership scheme goes to Prostate Cancer UK. Right. Nuno's team are recognisable for being compact, organised, defensively disciplined. Well, we're getting there. And built to hit teams on the break, or punish sloppy transitions. Nuno likes a striker who can press intelligently, make the right runs in behind defences, and is clinical in burying chances or bringing other players into play. That means the ideal profile for West Ham is not necessarily the biggest target man around, nor a lone poacher who only lives on rebounds, off rebounds. The striker needs to occupy defenders and create space. He needs to link up with midfield runners. He needs to press from the front, and he needs to be available and reliable, especially with injuries. With that in mind, let's go through the names that are already rumoured on social media. And the first is Clayton of Rio Ave. His profile, 26 years of age, striker who's made his name in the Portuguese league with intelligent movement, a knack of getting into the right areas, and a clinical touch in the inside the box. He's not a static number 9. He times his runs well, and he can finish with both feet, and he's comfortable receiving the ball in tight spaces. But he's only been at the Portuguese club Rio Ave. I keep wanting to say Rio Grande. He has only been at the Portuguese club Rio Ave since the beginning of 2025. And he signed for a fee of just €3 million. Now, in that time, he's already made 50 appearances, scoring 28 goals with 6 assists. Now, will he fit into Nuno's style? Well, Clayton's movement complements wide players. He drifts between centre-backs and full-backs, which creates pockets for players like Bowen and Somerville to exploit. He also presses into short bursts rather than constant high-energy sprints, which suits a team who want to coordinate pressing from the front. Now, would he be an immediate impact at West Ham United? I think quite possibly, yes. He's already proven in the Portuguese league and would likely adapt pretty quickly to the Premier League tempo if given the right support. He's the kind of signing that can come in and start contributing goals and intelligent link-up play without having to have a bedding in period. But would he be successful at West Ham? Well, with Paqueta's vision, Bowen's directness, it would give Clayton the service he needs. Through balls, late runs into the box, crosses from the byline. He's the pragmatic low-risk option. Not that he's the flashiest name, but he's one that could deliver consistent return. And then we have someone completely different. Francolino Jew is the young, explosive profile on this list of players, strikers that we're talking about. He brings raw pace, directness, and a physical presence that belies his age. He's the kind of forward who can terrorize high defensive lines and is strong in the air for his size. He's only 21 years of age. The player has developed in the youth ranks of Portuguese club Benfica, but went to Danish club Midtjylland on a free transfer in 2023. But he's done well there. 103 appearances, 54 goals, 13 assists. When he was with Benfica, he never made the senior squad, but in 25 academy appearances, he scored 15 goals. Now, again, would he fit Nuno's style of play? Would he be the kind of player that will benefit from Nuno? Well, Jew is tailor-made for counter-attacking football. Nuno's team often look to exploit spaces behind defences, and Jew's speed and directness would be a constant threat. He also presses aggressively, which aligns with Nuno's frontline demands. What about now, though? Is he a player for the now? It's quite possible he's more a player for the future. He's got loads of potential, my feeling is that would he adapt straight away, or would he be the player that you bring in now and in a season or two's time he could be a huge asset? But given the service from wide players and players like Paqueta's ability to pick out runners, Jew could become quite lethal. This is the problem for me. He seems to be the long-term bet, but he's a player that you'd almost want straight away. Then we have another player, Marcos Leandro from Al Hilal. Now, Marcos Leandro is a clinical finisher. He's confident in front of goal. He's got a striker's instinct for rebounds and loose balls, and he times his runs to perfection. He's shown a hot streak of form, and the mentality of the player thrives on him scoring. He's 22 years of age, Brazilian striker. He moved to Al Hilal in a 40 million euro move back in 2024. And here's the other link to Portugal from Portuguese club Benfica. His record at every club he's played at is pretty good. When in Brazil, playing for Santos, he made 168 appearances, scoring 54 goals. This led to the move to Benfica, where in just 24 short time there, 24 appearances, he scored 8 goals. And now at Al Hilal, 57 appearances, and he scored 40 goals already. But is he likely to be the most expensive option? But he's likely, to be the most expensive option of all the strikers that we've been linked to. He's earning a good salary at Saudi, and the club are likely to want all, if not more, than the money that they paid for him in the first place. Now, again, would he fit Nuno's style of play? He's a natural goal-getter. He would benefit from the supply that West Ham already possess. Nuno's system will give him chances. The question is whether he can adapt to the Premier League's intensity and defensive quality. He's had a short spell in Portugal, not probably enough, maybe not as long as Clayton, to really demonstrate that he can do it in a European league. Look, impact probably immediate. If he's a match fit in a lot of ways. Leandro would likely be the quickest to put the ball in the net for West Ham. He's the kind of striker who needs service and confidence, and given that, he will deliver. Will he succeed? Bowen's crosses, Somerville's turns and runs, Paqueta's late arrivals would create the exact kind of opportunities that Marcos Leandro would thrive on. He's the short-term upgrade for West Ham United if they want goals now. And then we have Valentin Castellanos, which is a player who we should know about. Technically sharp striker with a strong goal-scoring record across multiple leagues. He's excellent off-ball movement. He's got clinical finishing inside the box, and he's an intelligent link-up player, making him more than just a pure goal poacher. He offers a high work rate and pressing instincts that suit modern front-line kind of football. We were apparently linked to him several years ago, back in 2022, when he was still playing in the MLS. Now, he's one of 2 strikers on the list who actually don't have a Portuguese link. The 27-year-old Argentine international started his career in Chile before signing for New York City in 2019. In 134 appearances for the MLS club, he scored 59 goals with 24 assists. That got him a one-season loan move to Girona, where in 37 appearances, he scored 14 goals, and that led to a 15 million euro move, quite cheap actually, in 2023 to Lazio, where in 95 appearances, he's notched up 22 goals with 16 assists. Now, he's had his share of niggly injuries. He was out recently for 6 games with a hamstring injury, but he's back. But he's not gotten to be a regular starter in the current Lazio side. There's a disagreement between him and the coach about playing styles, and he doesn't think he fits the style that's being asked of him. Now, he's going to be valued at around 25 million euros, but many clubs who might be chasing him might feel that there's a little bit too much money for a player who hasn't exactly hit the heights in the Italian league, which is meant to be a lot easier than the Premier League. Plus, Lazio, they need money to avoid any further issues with balance in their books. So I'm not so sure whether they would actually realise that kind of return, 25, 26 million euros on the player. Castellanos' movement and finishing would directly complement, again, players like Bowen and Somerville, who would create space, deliver chances from wide areas. And Lucas Paqueta as well, with his through balls, could also play to Castellanos' strengths. Because he's already proven, because he's not so proven at high level, I'm not so sure whether he would be expected to make an immediate impact in the Premier League. And then finally, we have Promised David. I spoke about him, I think, last week, and we've already heard that there's little chance of getting him at West Ham United. He's playing for the Belgian team, Union Saint-Gilloise, and he's playing Champions League football. Look, he's tall, physically imposing. He blends aerial dominance, strong hold-up play, and direct running. He's shown an eye for goal, and he has the ability to occupy defenders and win those second balls. The 24-year-old Canadian international has been at the Belgian club for just over a season and a half. And in that time, he's made 65 appearances with 34 goals. But he's playing Champions League football. And as I've said, is rumoured to be very reluctant to leave for Premier League survival football. Would he fit Nuno's system? Well, he's well suited to transition moments, set piece threats, and can be used as a rotation starter or an impact sub. He can contribute quickly in specific roles. If he's a target man, hold-up player, aerial outlet, etc. But he would probably benefit from more tactical coaching in order to be Premier League suitable. With the consistent service from Bowen, Somerville, Paqueta, and so on, David's threats, physical in the air, would be quite good for West Ham. But I don't know. He's another player that I don't know if he's for the here and now or for the future. Look, when you put it all together, who do we prioritise? Well, if West Ham want goals now, and we certainly do, then I think Marcos Leandro or Clayton would be the better options. Both would slot into Nuno's system with minimal fuss. Leandro is the pure finisher. Clayton offers a slightly more rounded game with intelligent movements. So of the five that I mentioned, possibly those two are the more likely. If West Ham wants to chance it, go with a player that will be a huge asset in the future, but might just hit the ground running now, then Francolino Jew from Midtjylland is the player to go for. It would be, if it works at 21 years of age, if it works, imagine what it'd be worth in a season or two's time. If West Ham want versatility and tactical promise, maybe promise David is the one. I've already mentioned the reasons why we need another striker. Fulkrug, Wilson, we can't rely on them. The squad needs a player that's dynamic and faster. I don't know. For me, it's kind of pointing down to, when you sort of look at all the players all in all, I think the one that really stands out has got to be Clayton. He's the one that would be almost an immediate asset. And he's the one I would go for right now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please do become a subscriber. Click like, hit subscribe, etc., etc. And I'll see you all again pretty soon.